Alright, let's take a look at the application walkthrough here. So let's get it started here with the first one. We're talking about range. So we're going to say I give you the range. Here is x is between 4 but don't include 4, and 7 do include 7. I'm sorry, this is the domain. So I'm giving you the domain. You have to tell me the range. So all it means is just plug these bad boys in here. What I would do is just plug in 4 for x, then plug in 7 for x, and it's going to fall in between there. So really you're going to find what is the f of 4, not inclusive, equals some number. Then find the f of 7, but you do want to include this one, equals some number. All of your things should fall between that range right there. Fantastic. A conjecture is like a guess, a hypothesis. What do you think is true? So Mr. Kelly says something right here that he thinks is true. Mr. Sullivan says, no way, dude, not true. So a counterexample proves it's wrong. So you got to try something that proves Mr. Kelly is wrong. So he's saying the absolute value of x minus y is got to be less than or equal to the absolute value of x minus the absolute value of y. So if you can think of one example that makes it not true, it's a counterexample. So let's say Alright, so you're just going to make up an answer. So, I don't know, say x is 4 and y is 2. I just made those two numbers up, and maybe you can think about what would be good guesses and not good guesses to help you on this. But you're looking for something that proves it's wrong. Does my example prove it wrong? Well, if x is 4, y is 2, plug those bad boys in there. What are you going to get? The absolute value of 4 minus the absolute value of 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2. Absolute value of 4 is 4. Absolute value of 2 is 2. Is the absolute value of 2, that is 2, is that less than or equal to 2? It is. So in this case, it's true. So this is not a counterexample. This says Mr. Kelly's right. So you're looking for something that proves Kelly wrong. So don't use this example. This is not right. This is not a counterexample. It actually shows he's okay. All you got to do is find one that shows us wrong, and then we can say this is not true. Mr. Kelly is wrong. So look, see if you can find one. Hopefully there is, or else that'd be a bad problem for me to give you. Look at this mess. We got all kinds of stuff. So Mr. Bean has weighed 120 pounds, give or take 4 pounds. So he weighs 120 pounds plus or minus 4 pounds. So really we're thinking about what? Write a compound, all the weights. He could be 4 less than that. He could be 116 pounds. And how do we write a compound inequality? It's got to be between, his weight's got to be between what? 116 and 124. So he doesn't fluctuate too much. He's always in this range for the last 20 years. So which one of these represents that? Try them out. Does the first one work? You could just solve it. Does it give you that answer? Big hint here. We're looking for a compound, which is an and. Well, I would start off by which one of these are ands. This is great or, so I don't think you're going to do that one. Great or. Right off the bat, I'm looking at C and D, and then just try them. Solve it, Set these up, solve them. Does it give you that answer? Yes or no? So that's a good hint, I think, for there. Part C, blah, blah, blah. I love Fruity Pebbles. So good. Same thing. This is manufacturers do this a lot. They say it's 14.5 ounces, but really they got a little leeway in there. So can you take one of these answers, C and D, from above, model it so it's the same, What was the plus or minus here? The plus or minus here is your 4. So what's the plus or minus here? It's the 0.25. And then what was the goal or the target? Well, there it is. It's 120, so there's your goal or target, 14.5. So it should look the same as whatever you got from up there. And then I kind of explained what this is all about, tolerance. How long can Mr. Brust tolerate one of Mr. Bean's video before he falls asleep? I love it. So just explain, what does this mean? Label it. 8 apples, oranges, miles, I don't know. And what does that mean? It's all what does it mean. So label it, write it in a sentence, and then you've told me. Awesome. Moving on to numerically, that means just plug and chug, put numbers in, and see what happens. So, plug all these in, put in -3 for this. So if I put in, what is the f of -3? I got to put that in. And then I'm going to replace the x. Wherever there's an x, I'm going to replace it with -3. So I'm going to go ahead and say this will be -3 minus 3 minus 4. And then start simplifying. 2 times the absolute value of -6. Absolute value of -6 is +6. So that'll be 2 times 6 minus 4. 12 minus 4, that is 8. So this first point is 8. Then come over here and graph it. 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Boom, there it is. So fill all these in, plug them. Notice on this last one I gave you a y value. So in this last case, be careful. I told you it's 24. I'm actually looking for what is x, and you should get 2 of these when you solve it. And then tell me the domain range. Remember, this is your x's, and this is your y. So look at the picture. It makes a nice pretty picture, and you should hopefully be able to tell me what the domain and range of that is, because you killed it last chapter. Algebraically, we're just going to solve it. Nothing new. That's what this section is. I'm not going to give you any hints on that. I will give you a smiley face because I think you can do it. That is the biggest smiley face. Let's tone that down a little bit. There we go. Good luck. You should get that one. How about graphically? We're going to start looking at the graphs next section, but I kind of wanted you to use the table again. So again, plug in -6 into this, and what comes out. So I'm not using function notation is the only difference. Some people may like that better. It doesn't matter though. This is 3 minus 2. I get 1. So the first point is -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and up 1. So here's a point. So plot all these. It makes a shape, a nice V shape or like a check mark shape. This is a nice, remember, is this a flat line or a vertical line? When y is 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the flat line. So I'll give you that. That's why the y-intercept is always 4. So you've got this. We're looking for where they intersect, and make sure you circle them. Circle where these cross. If you need more points, add more points. Should be fantastic. Nice. And then the last one, I like to run a little SAT prep at you. We've got this. W is an integer. Integer is just a rounded, like no decimals. Positive or negative whole numbers essentially. So no decimals. Then which of the following is possible value? So you can solve these algebraically, but when it's multiple choice, it's 5 of these. You can just plug and chug. Like in this case, to try to solve it may be harder than it's worth. Plug in -2 real quick, and if you can do it in your head, that's even better. -2 squared absolute value, and you can use some hints. I'm going to take the negative and absolute value, so it's going to equal a negative answer. So this is good that I'm using a negative here because, I square it. 2 squared is 4. Absolute value of 4 is 4, and then I'm going to negate it. But what is -2? I'm sorry, I didn't put that in over here. -2. Now I'm cubing it. That means -2 times -2 times -2. Well, that ends up giving me -8. So they don't equal each other, so it's not A. But I like this idea that I'm using a negative, because if you're going to use a positive cubed is always positive. So check this out. Boom, boom, boom. Any one of these will be positive, and you're going to negate this positive, so negative. I hope -1 works. You better check it and see. I think I gave you too much information on that one. All right. And the last one, grid in. So P and Q are consecutive, negative, odd integers. Oh my gosh. Consecutive means in a row, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative means they're negative, and odd means they're odd. So they are something like consecutive. So this would be consecutive odd integers. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. I'm doing all the ones in order odd. Consecutive even would be, 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? But now I want them negative. So let's say I'm going to do something like -11, -9, -7. These are negative consecutive odd integers. So half the battles just know what they're talking about. Now I'm going to say the sum of these is -120. And what does this mean? Q is less than P. It just means P is the bigger number. So I need to pick a pair in here. Like maybe I'm going to pick this pair. They have to pick them. Or I could maybe pick this pair. Or I could pick -7, -5. But I'm picking a pair. Q is the smaller one. So in this case, it's going to be the one to the left. Once I find them, plug them in here, I'm good to go. So really you're going to say P and Q. So if P, I don't know what P is. Let's call it X. What is the next consecutive number? So their sum is 120. So if this is X, it's going to be, how do I write the next number? So it's easier to see with positive numbers. How does 3 turn into 5? Turn 7. Well, you're adding 2. So I'm going to take whatever X is. Maybe X is 5. I want the next term. I'm going to add 2 to it. So this is your first term. The next term would be X plus 2. Your next term would be X plus 4. Then X plus 6 and X plus 8. So you could do this forever. I want the sum to equal -120. See if you can go from there, figure it out. Remember, Q is the smaller one when you put it in over here. So make sure when you get this X, make sure you know, is that the P, is that the Q? Awesome. I believe that is it. Is that it? Super. Good luck on the mastery check. I hope it goes well. Peace out.